Okay, let's talk about something kind of weird that just happened in the tech world. Picture this. A company absolutely smashes its earnings report, posts record-breaking numbers across the board. So what happens next? The stock should go to the moon, right? Well, with AMD, that's not what happened at all. Their incredible success was met with a pretty shocking market plunge. And today, we're going to figure out exactly why. Let's dig in.
All right, so here's the setup. On February 3rd, 2026, AMD dropped its fourth quarter earnings report. And on the surface, the numbers were, well, they were awesome. We're talking record results for both the quarter and the entire 2025 fiscal year.
And we're not talking about just squeaking by here. No way. As you can see, AMD didn't just meet Wall Street's expectations, they blew them out of the water. Revenue came in at over $10.2 billion when the forecast was for $9.6 billion. And earnings per share, $1.53, easily beating the expected $1.32, a total home run.
But here's where the whole story just gets bizarre. Despite this amazing report, the stock didn't just dip a little. It absolutely cratered by over 17% almost right away. So what in the world is going on here? That's the paradox we're going to unpack.
To solve this puzzle, we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look closer at those record numbers and that surprising dip. Then, we'll dive into the absolute beast that is their AI growth engine. We'll also see how their PC and gaming businesses are doing great. But then we'll get to the heart of it, the headwinds and the uncertainty around China that spooked everybody. And finally, we'll look at AMD's seriously ambitious plan for the future.
So, first up, let's really get a feel for those headline results. The very numbers that created all this confusion for investors.
And I mean, just look at these numbers. They're absolutely staggering. A record $10.3 billion in revenue, a record $2.5 billion in net income, and a record $2.1 billion in free cash flow. All of that in just one quarter. This wasn't just a good quarter, it was a historic one, capping off a year where they pulled in nearly $35 billion. By any metric you can think of, this was a grand slam.
So you've got to ask, where is all this cash coming from? And that brings us to the real star of the show, the data center, and, you guessed it, AI. And you don't have to take my word for it. AMD's own CEO, the brilliant Dr. Lisa Su, she laid it out pretty clearly. She called 2025 a defining year, and she pointed directly at the massive, broad-based demand for their high-performance computing and, most importantly, their AI platforms.
Just how massive was this demand? Well, the data center business alone raked in a mind-blowing $5.4 billion in just the fourth quarter. Think about that. One single part of their business made up more than half of their total revenue.
And check this out. This number shows just how fast things are moving. That $5.4 billion, that's a 39% jump in data center revenue from the same time last year. That's not just growth, that is insane acceleration.
So how are they doing it? Well, it's really a 1-2 punch. First, you've got their EPYC server CPUs, which are just continuing to gobble up market share in the cloud. And second, you have their Instinct AI GPUs, which are being snapped up like crazy to power this whole AI revolution. Okay, let's switch gears a bit, because the good news didn't stop with the data center. Their other businesses, the ones you and I probably interact with more, they also had a fantastic quarter.
So their client business, which is basically all the Ryzen chips for your PC, that hit a record too, with $3.1 billion in revenue. And the gaming segment, the chips inside consoles and those Radeon graphics cards, that brought in a solid $843 million, also showing really strong growth year over year.
Okay, so everything looks great, right? Which brings us back to that big, nagging question. If everything is so good, why did the stock tank? For that, we have to look at the shadows, the risks and uncertainties that clearly had investors running for the hills.
The first big storm cloud on the horizon? It's China. See, in the last quarter, AMD sold almost $400 million worth of AI chips there. But now, because of new U.S. export rules, they think that number is going to drop to just $100 million next quarter, and maybe even to zero after that. For Wall Street, that's a huge, unpredictable hole in their future sales. And if there's one thing the market absolutely hates, it's that kind of uncertainty.
But it wasn't just China that had people on edge. There's also this shadow kind of looming over their gaming business, which is weird because it's doing so well right now, but it all comes down to timing.
It's kind of like this. Think about the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. They've been out for a while now, right? We're deep into this console cycle. Because of that,
AMD is now warning everyone that they expect a significant double-digit percentage drop in sales for these console chips next year. The party from this generation is winding down, and the next big one probably won't start until 2027.
So you've got this wild mix, right? Incredible growth on one side, but some really serious storm clouds on the other. But despite all that, AMD didn't just sit back. They used this moment to lay out a super ambitious vision for what's next.
This right here, this is basically AMD's answer to all the market's fears. And it's a bold one. They've laid out some truly audacious goals. They're not just aiming to grow a little, they're targeting over 35% annual revenue growth. At the same time, they plan to expand their profit margins and ultimately deliver over $20 in earnings per share. That's a huge statement of confidence.
And they're not just making promises, they've got the hardware to back it up. We're talking a full-on assault on the AI market. Their next-gen AI accelerators, the MI400 and 500 series, their entire pre-built AI supercomputers with their Helios platform, and of course, new, more powerful Venice EPYC CPUs to run the whole shebang.
So that's where we land. AMD just put up some of the best numbers in its history, and the market got spooked by short-term risks. But as this AI supercycle really gets going over the next few years, the real question is this: has AMD positioned itself to just be a competitor in this new world, or is it actually ready to lead the whole thing?